So TJ and I were visiting on the phone as I was making my long drive here, and we're obviously reading some of the same books and talking about not just building a team but building a brand.
Yes.
And you had some beautiful things to say about the characteristics that you are looking for members of your spirit organization. Of course, everyone is real anxious to know about your dancers and the dance content, but tell me about the whole package.
Um, for me, one of the turning points in my career came whenever I started looking at more than just their talent. I started doing a lot of intel on the type of person they were. Um, you know, my dancers, my students are ambassadors for my university, and so I want to be able to send them out and then represent the university well at all times. So it takes a special person, not necessarily just a special dancer. I've had years where I've cut dancers that were super talented, and I've kept better people that I could mold into the dancer that I wanted. So, to me, it's a total package. They are young adults, and they are going to make mistakes, of course, and we want to teach them from those mistakes. But at the same time, I'm looking for just a a good person.
Right.
If they're a good person, I have feel like I am confident in my ability to make them a better dancer.
Right. While we're talking about now, your high profile right now is that you are the coach of this team and choreographer for several others.
Yeah.
I would love for you to let our dance team director community know so they can pass it on to their students. Um, some of the content you think is important for auditioning for a college dance team. I know there's some specific skills you're looking for, but in general, what path do they put them on, and probably how soon should they start thinking about it?
Yeah, I would start. It's that old saying, the early bird gets the worm.
Right.
Start as soon as you know that you want to dance in college, and I would really concentrate on all the elements that it takes to make a collegiate dance team, whether it be endurance, fitness, what they're wearing. In college we wear a lot less clothing sometimes than in high school. So if they're not working out in that clothing, if they're not practicing in that, they're not going to feel comfortable come tryouts. Checking, making sure their Facebooks and their social media are clean. We check that sort of stuff whenever
it's my understanding they're doing that
out.
with athletes in all sports, not
Yeah.
just
Well,
what we could say is more like you said, the ambassador sports with the spirit programs, but
yeah,
top to bottom, whether you're on the rifle team or the football team, everybody's got to represent their university correctly.
yes, and I've heard of cases, and I've read about cases where even admittance into school has been revoked because of social media. And so, I believe it was 2 summers ago, there were about 7 Harvard students. Don't quote me.
Oh, I kind of remember this. They did
something
snarky.
online on social media, and so they revoked their admission into Harvard. And so, to me, that's just a big eye opener of, the world that we live in is so. We're so behind our phones, and we're so on top of everything, and we're so passive aggressive that we don't sometimes think about the consequences before we post them for the whole world to see. And so be smart about that as a dancer. If you're wanting to make a college team, these coaches, we spend lots of time doing intel on the people that we're wanting to bring into our program.
I might interrupt you for a second. Do they have to be they have to have admission to the university before they audition, or does it go back and forth?
Correct.
Which way does that go?
So they're supposed to have proof of admission, but sometimes depending on test scores, or if they're a transfer student, or when they've applied, we can look at their current transcripts and test score, the things that may not be into the system, and go, okay, this person will be fine.
Right.
They have the makings to be successful here and to be a successful college student. So yes, that's a yes and no answer. In a perfect world, it'd be great to have everyone admitted, but then there's always that person that I don't want to lose.
As a
great
mom of a
potential.
college kid, let's tell them to go ahead and start applying early.
Yeah.
Just a real quick something that I thought of as you were saying that. Why don't we brag on the scholarship opportunities that your program offers dancers?
Yeah. So currently, our dancers receive scholarship based on their time on the team. So every Spirit team member here comes in with a certain amount for the fall, based on if they're a first year, a second year, a third year, or fourth or fifth year. Of course, the longer you're here, the more you're starting, I guess, salary, if you want to call it that. Your starting rate is, and then in the spring you get that rate plus we evaluate where they are talent wise. So if they have, if they're the more talented, they're going to get a little bit more than the base rate.
That's remarkable. That's really, and I just think of the investment that those students and their parents have put into lessons and travel and all the things they've done to get to the point. I think it's wonderful that you're rewarding them in that way.
Yeah.
I think it's a great
and
incentive.
We also offer, for out-of-staters, we offer out-of-state waivers. So once they receive a certain amount of scholarship, they will pay with it what a Texas resident
That's
pays
great.
to go to school here.
Wonderful. And just one more on the scholarship stuff. So that money goes to any expense on the university, or does it go to the dance team expenses or the cheer team?
Basically, it goes on their what we call their e-bill. So
Gotcha.
we're
it goes to
whatever
Absolutely.
needs to be paid, basically.
Right. Well, that, like I said, as a college mom, I wish Doug could dance a little bit more, but that's just a joke. He thinks he's an assistant dance team director, so if you have an opening when he graduates, I'll bring him here. He can keep diagonal straight.
Hey,
all right, so that's enough
a hard
of that silly talk.